I'm Dr. Linda, and this is some of the reasons people stay in domestic violence. First, we need to talk about the cycle of abuse. Number one, the tension building phase. Where tensions increase, you're walking on eggshells, and you know it's coming. In the second phase is the abusive incident. Everything blows up. And here we go again. In phase 3, everybody's minimizing the event. Nobody wants to accept that there's a problem here. And in order to deal with the relationship, everybody kind of denies what happened. But this is on the part of both the abuser and the abused, because it's setting everybody up for the honeymoon phase where everything's calm. The abuser is remorseful, making promises. I'll quit drinking. I won't do this again. I am so sorry. And I'm not going to say they're not really feeling that in the calm phase. But what I am saying is that any changes they say they're going to make never happen. It's you're holding on to see those promises that causes us to stay in the relationship and go back through the cycle again. The most dangerous aspect of this cycle, though, are stages 3 and 4, because it's in these stages that the abused is gaslighting themselves about the relationship. If you have a restraining order in place, you've left this individual, you must not allow stages 3 and 4 to cause you to break your no contact rule with that individual. Many women have made it out of that, got the support they needed, began to make inroads to living independently on their own, and wound up having their lives taken by breaking the no contact rule. They make it through years of abuse, and then it's all for naught because they go and have this conversation with the abuser. That cannot be allowed to happen. Understand this. If you're in this situation and you've gotten out, understand this. It's impossible for one person to make drastic enough changes in that short period of time for it to make a difference in the relationship. Don't hear stuff like, oh, I'll quit this, I'll do this, I want you back, I love you. None of that is real. None of it's real. And so you've got to stay no contact, because if you leave that relationship and they come with the stage 3, stage 4 avoidance and gaslighting, they're gaslighting themselves. They might honestly believe, oh yeah, I'm a change. I'm never going to do this again. It's a fantasy that's never going to happen. Do not go back. Do not allow that last conversation. Do not talk to this individual. Full stop. Full stop. Now, for the reasons people stay. Number one, fear. Fear of their partners, fear of being alone, concern about being independent. Maybe they don't have any income. That's a fear for many people in this situation. And then there's trauma bonding. It's if someone grew up in an environment where abuse was common, they may not know what healthy relationships look like. 3, promises, future faking. The abuser promises to stop abusing, to change, to stop drinking. This is all part of the ongoing emotional manipulation that keeps people in abusive relationships. And then shame for anybody traumatized under any circumstances often leads to self-esteem issues, hopelessness, and feeling false shame and responsibility for what happened to them. Intimidation, part of the abuse cycle. The victim is intimidated by the abuser's control and manipulation, physical or emotional abuse, and ongoing threats of violence to themselves, to their children, or to their family. 6. Lack of resources. This goes back to what we talked about earlier, that fear of not being able to make it alone. Now, this one is especially true when the abuser is the only source of income. What we must see here is that one thing is always common, and that's the fact that there are underlying control issues. So as the abuser moves along, it isolates you from friends and family. A common aspect of that control is having you at home and they're working, and they control what comes in the household. They may even control how you spend, how much you have to spend. But there are resources out there to help people in this situation. No safe place. The victim may not have a safe place to go. This is especially important when there are children involved. Look, as they separate you from friends and family, there's another dynamic. Listen to this. This came from a video I watched today, and this is a former police officer and detective describing the dynamics that have people feel like they don't have a safe place to go.
So there you have it. Very common trend. You'll have someone who is an abuser behind closed doors, but to the outside world, they act like they're this reasonable, very calm person who just wants the best for everyone. I've seen it a million times. I've told you guys about different examples where as a kid, I would see coaches and politicians who were the nicest people in the world. And once I became a police officer and I started responding to their houses, I saw a completely different side of them. And it changed me forever. It made me have a different perspective on people in general. But speaking more specifically to this incident, when you have someone who's an abusive person, they're not only going to try to present themselves as the good guy to their friends and family, they'll also try to do the same with the victim's family members and friends, because what they want is for those friends and family members to maybe question the allegations that the victim's presenting. And it's a very common tactic. What they're going to try to do is turn everyone against them so that when something like this happens, that victim is more apt to go back to the abuser because they feel like they have no one else. It's really diabolical. I'm not saying for sure that that's what Tyler's intentions were. I'm just putting it out there as a generic sense where this is something that as a police officer, I've seen many times.
Now remember, you do have a place to go. There's a National Domestic Violence Hotline. They're available 24/7, 365. So you always have a place to go. This is a wealth of information that will tell you where to go to get emotional and other support in order to be able to move out of that situation. Now, this is not a resource just for you're out in the streets after leaving somebody doing this to you. This is a resource to prepare you for how to leave there safely and have a place to go where you will get the emotional and mental health and financial and housing support that you need. So be sure to go to this resource because they're there for you, as I said, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. If you find this content valuable, please take time to subscribe to the channel and watch one of the 2 videos below. Thanks.